Everyone,
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Shivakumar.
So let me begin with a slight introduction. So we are very, very happy and glad to announce this next set of sessions that we are trying to do on rainwater harvesting. Many people would have attended the previous webinars in the last 4 weeks on water challenges during and post COVID-19. With the experiences that we gathered, we have started this new series on rainwater harvesting as a webinar series, and we have a galaxy of eminent speakers who would share their ideas and perspectives. I would now request Professor Pradeep to deliver his inaugural address for this particular session and this series. Over to you, Professor Pradeep.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. One of the very first things we study in our school is that the world is a closed system. An important aspect of this statement is that the amount of water on the planet is constant. It presents a number of questions on equitable use of that resource and how to hand it over safely to the next generation, and also to all the living and non-living things on the planet. Water does not belong to you and me. It belongs to the world. Every drop of natural fresh water we enjoy comes from the rain. Most of the rain falls roughly around the same time, although there are occasional seasonal and temporal variations. All the life forms of the planet live on this. Rain is indeed our mother. It nourishes everything. Life on land exists only because just about 0.5% more water falls on it than that evaporates from it. This excess water flown through the land made civilizations and modern development possible. Availability of water is threatened in many parts of the world. What nature gives causes floods in some places. The only solution is to collect and store water. This is called rainwater harvesting. There are many time-tested methods, and several societies have been saved from drought by this simple measure. There are many champions of this across the world, in our country, and in each region in our country. We need a national initiative on rainwater harvesting, and this is the time to strengthen it, as we are just about to receive the southwest monsoon, 75% of country's rainfall. This is the reason to schedule this event right now. If you are in the state of Kerala, I am from that state, a standard family's domestic need for water can be met from rainwater collected from 1 cent of land. This will not only solve our water crisis, but also floods. Availability of fresh water can lessen the burden of people, make more time available at home for productive activities, and as a result, contribute to the overall well-being of the society. As the first measure, we can ensure that every school collects rainwater. We have about 1.5 million schools, if you combine all of them, in the country. And all of them are under lockdown now. The parent-teacher associations can ensure that rainwater is collected in the school compound. This can happen in the next couple of weeks before the rain arrives. Every public establishment can do this. There would be a national directive to ensure that this happens during lockdown. All of this can happen. Resources for all these are available right now, if only we plan it well. Our finance minister has just announced an additional package of 40,000 crores for Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act to increase employment opportunities in the villages. Part of this money may be used to ensure that every government establishment has sufficient rainwater harvesting methods established before the monsoon. This suggestion, in fact, came from Professor Anil Gupta, founder of the National Innovation Foundation, in one of our previous meetings. That will also be a great relief for migrant workers, many of whom have come back to their native villages, and governments are hard-pressed to find resources to support them. Here is a win-win situation for the states, the nation, and its people. As Sripati said, there have been many sessions on rainwater harvesting. But one more will not hurt it. We are starting this series with Mr. A.R. Shivakumar, known as the Rain Man of Bangalore. The rainwater harvesting program of Karnataka State Council for Science and Technology has produced a fine document. It's called Amrita Varshini, authored by this very same person. I'm glad that he is the first speaker of the series. We have then Shri Rajendra Singh, also known as the Waterman of India. We then have Mr. Shekhar Raghavan, known as the Rain Man of Chennai. We then have Ms. Shanta Sheila Nair, former Vice Chairperson of Tamil Nadu Planning Commission. Under her leadership, rainwater harvesting became mandatory in Tamil Nadu. We also have Dr. Sharavanan of Anna University to talk about capacity building to enable rainwater harvesting. We will conclude the event on June 5th by introducing a person who converted 3.5 acres of his land to a natural rainforest all by himself by sustainable practices. He is Shri Jagat Singh Chaudhary, popularly known as Jungli Ji. That will be a great way to celebrate the World Environment Day. Let us store every drop of rain. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Give me a minute for giving a brief introduction about Shri A.R. Shivakumar. So, Mr. A.R. Shivakumar, he's been our friend for a very long time. He's been associated with ICCW in the past several years, and he's been with us in providing suggestions and recommendations on various aspects of rainwater harvesting. And we are very happy to welcome him once again in one of these very important lecture series that we are organizing, and we are trying to take a way out when we complete this session, as Professor Pradeep was mentioning, that we are going to celebrate this on World Environment Day. And we hope that this rainwater is a big concept that is realized by every one of us, and this becomes a social movement is what we are trying to bring out when we complete this series. Now, I would request Mr. Shivakumar to take over. I will stop sharing the screen now. I would request Mr. Shivakumar to start his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sripati, and thank you, Professor Pradeep, and all the participants in today's session. This is my glad presentation and time with you all people to share the experience what I have during the last 25 years Today, basically, I'll be going through the fundamentals of rainwater harvesting, what we have been doing across the country at various other places. Then we move on to the app which we have. Once we have the app, can you see the screen, Sripati and others?
And not yet. You'll have to share the screen.
Okay. Yeah, I think now you can see the screen.
You have to do full screen.
Yeah, I will do that. Yeah, it's happening now. Okay, thank you.
Very good.
And,
Done.
yeah, as it has been briefed already, we have plenty of water on this earth. In fact, for time immemorial, I think the quantity of water has remained same, and then it will not change. The water molecules what we are using today are the same water molecules what dinosaurs drank billions of years back. And this is the primary source of all the water what we have. And we need to worry about approximately around 100 to 135 liters per capita per day. And in particular, 3 liters, which is for drinking, which need to be quite clean, both quality and availability for every person on this earth. Of course, water is not just for only for the human beings, all other creatures on this earth also will share. This was what we had. Water was our own responsibility, and in fact, we used to go to the place where water was available. Most decentralized and sustainable system which we had. We moved on. We moved on to large centralized systems as the civilization grew, and many a time it has become unsustainable. And we have moved on to a place now we have this water as a commodity, and most of the places we have water dispensers or this water ATMs, which we have already started seeing in most of the towns and even villages. It has started coming in. Is there something which we can do to have the sustainable water supply and respect what we had earlier? Can we bring it to that? Nature has all the gift of this water available to almost everyone, including all other creatures, and it's in plenty. Only thing is we need to manage it properly in such a fashion that it is equitably distributed among all, and in the need where it is required in that particular quantity and quality. The rainwater harvesting is as simple as this. We'll start with a collection place of our own building roofs. The roofs are more cleaner compared to all other catchments what we have. So we start with the roof collection. So collection from the roof is very simple. Whether it's a flat or inclined roof, the water flows down. Instead of allowing it to go out, we can collect it in tanks. And excess water, instead of allowing it to flow out, we can recharge it to the ground. Why recharge? We have been using groundwater very extensively. In particular in India, almost every place we have exploited the groundwater. Unless we recharge, naturally it was happening and now also it's happening, but the quantity of withdrawal is so high, we need to use artificial or accelerated methods to see that the water percolates into the ground. An old abundant well is a classic example. You allow your roof water to go into that, it will recharge. Or we can create one recharge pit or a well, which I will show you in future slides. And the rainwater would be the immediate resource to augment the existing water supply system. We can't move away from what developments which have already taken place. We can see that how we can augment and see that sustainably everyone gets water by simply catching where it falls. And rainwater harvesting methods, broadly we can divide in any of our civilized either urban places or in the rural places in 3 categories. Rooftop rainwater harvesting, runoff from various places like landscapes, parks, stormwater drains, roads, etc. Here also we can harvest either for recharge or for the reuse. Natural storage and collection through lakes and tanks or water bodies is very important. This will complete more or less the rainwater harvesting. It has been happening for thousands of years, various places in different form. Let us see how this can plug into our modern system. Rainwater harvesting can be as simple as this. It's already started raining in most of the places. The rainy season has started. The roof water flows down. Collect it in few buckets and take it inside. That takes water requirement is right. Rainwater is the purest form. But how to remove the contaminants which are coming on the roof, we will see that. Any rainwater harvesting system will have 4 categories of this steps. One is the collection. We need a collection place, either a roof or an open ground or a park or a large industrial area. Then we need to channelize that so that we can filter and use it. Filtering is very important. Depending on what kind of usage we have, we need to filter to that quality. For just agriculture purpose means we just need to filter some debris which can flow through the pipe and pumps and the irrigation system. If you need to use it for drinking, it should be potable. If you are using for the industrial purpose, the standards are different. So filtering is something which is very crucial. It plays a catalytic role to see that the rainwater, though it is pure, gets contaminated or mixed up with other contaminants on the collection areas or the catchment areas, need to be separated. Then afterwards you have 2 choices. One is the store and reuse, or you can recharge to the ground. Or a combination of these things can be used so that partly you store and recharge to the ground. Believe me, storage is the largest or the highest cost in your rainwater harvesting system if you are building. So recharging it to the ground or storing it in the Mother Earth is the cheapest way to store. Millions of liters can be stored because in several, maybe 2-3 decades, we have been withdrawing from the ground. Those aquifers are the voids where we have in the soil or subsoil or weathered rock, we can store comfortably this rainwater and we try to remove it. We can store or collect it from an inclined roof also, whether it's a tile roof or sheet roof or any other inclined roof. We need to collect using gutters and pipes. Even the flat roof we can collect, bunch all those downwater pipes and take it to one place to collect. And how much water we can collect? Simple calculation. Basically, you need 2 figures. One is the catchment area of the collection place and the rainfall of that particular place. If you want 1 year's total requirement, how much you can collect or the total potential, you just need to multiply the area by rainfall. Area in square meters and annual rainfall in millimeters will directly give you the liters of what potential you have. In feet also you can do, only thing is it should be in square feet, inches in rainfall, and a constant of 2.36 will give you the total quantity of water we can collect. Whether it's a small house, large industry, or a catchment area of several acres, the formula is same. We need to bring in a factor called efficiency of collection, because what is potential, what is actual differs. What is potential is theoretically how much it can rain and how much you can collect from there. Practically, what it comes to your storage place for direct use or for recharge, it depends on the efficiency of collections like runoff coefficient, filtration system efficiency and all that. Roughly for a building, when you have flat roof or inclined roof, which is hard surface, you can safely take 85% collection efficiency and this level. For a small building, rainwater collection can be as simple as this. You have your downwater pipes, the water comes down. The first flush is very important. Once you remove the first 3 minutes or 5 minutes of the water from your roof, your water is almost clean. Then whatever the debris comes, it can filter through a cartridge and come to your storage place and you can collect and use that. As simple as this. Next 3 slides will show you how simple you can collect from any normal building. You have a building roof and the downwater pipe and the water is now, rainwater is flowing away. Just interconnect them by using a pipe. After that, connect a filter which will remove the dust, bird droppings, leaf litter which have fallen on the roof. Then the water is diverted after filtration into a storage. That's all you need to do. Very simple, anybody can do. And approximately for a single house, if you have a storage, the piping costs around 1,000 rupees and the filter may be costing 5,000 or 6,000 rupees and the labor 2,000, around 10 to 12,000 rupees is the cost. If the building is little larger, the cost is extra. If you don't have the sum, the cost goes up. We will see that. And for large buildings, you can do that. Whether it's a multi-story building, an apartment, industry, or any other such buildings. Here, the system required is you need to know total quantity of water which is flowing. So little hydraulics we need to worry about the flow rates, the size of the pipe, size of filtration system, what kind of filtration which you are going to use. After that, also you can store and also recharge groundwater. Simple diagram can show you. Basically, the rainwater has to flow by gravity. From the collection place to the storage or to the recharge, by gravity water has to flow. So choose the place of filtration as well as storage at the lowest portion of your project or your house or wherever you want to do rainwater harvesting. And systematically have the pipelines with gradient so that the water flows down, and a high volume filtration system for large buildings, and then storage. I have developed both for the domestic pop-up filter, which is across the country serving. Then I have developed a totally automatic system for very large scale system, which I have demonstrated also. This is for a very large system, like the secretariat of government buildings or large hostels or airports or IT sector. The large quantity of water is brought to one place, and we have a totally automatic filtration system which I have developed. It's called first flush lock and a diverter. Later it stores in the tank. What it does is every time it rains, this particular tank stores the first few minutes of the rain, maybe 3 minutes of the rain with all the contaminants, and there is a lock which locks by itself automatically and divert the subsequent cleaner water through a pebble bed filter into the tank. How is this automatic? Once the rain stops, all this dirt and other water which is stored in this first flush lock will percolate into the ground because the bottom is not concreted or cemented. Valve opens, then it is ready for the next day or after a week, after a month when it rains. It's totally automatic. You don't need to clean or do anything. It's working very well at various places, including all the hostels of Anna University uh, campus in Chennai and various other. Storing rainwater is in various forms you can store. One is the HDPE tank, which is simple, but up to 5,000 liter you can store. Beyond that means we need to go for either a masonry surface tank or underground tanks. These can be built by using brick or cement concrete. I was part of a very large program in Karnataka where almost every rural house is being built with a rainwater harvesting system. What we have given is basically a collection system and a first flush valve. Then we have a sandbed filter. The water goes through this. Below this we have jali where the water percolates into the tank after filtration. This tank is totally sealed so that the water which is stored in this is not exposed to sun. Even after several months, water is safe to use and they are using this. And I can say this is the happiest family. They generate their own water from their rooftop, get filters, stores here. They have the cleanest form of water. This tap has a lock so that every day they withdraw only around 10 to 20 liters of water for drinking and cooking. Otherwise, they use the hard water or the contaminated water available from borewell and various places. Even in large-scale school programs also we have done, where the roof water is collected, filtered and stored for drinking purpose in the school. We'll come to groundwater recharge. Groundwater recharge is a very simple process. We dig a hole in the ground and we have precast cement ring wells. This is the cheapest and the best method we have seen. Of course, there are, depending on the region, there are different methods which are adopted. And construct a well by using these cement precast rings and no plastering in between two rings and a safety mesh at the top before the last ring is placed, and a disc over that. Allow the rainwater to go into this, inside this if it is filtered. If it is a surface flow, allow it to go in the annular place. So what we should observe is this entire well is empty. There is nothing filled in that. No filter media, sand, charcoal or aggregates are required. Only we need to worry about the annular place outside which aggregates are filled in that. Even in large economically weaker sections, slums and other things, rainwater harvesting is practiced. Collect the roof water, filter it, store it and give it for drinking purpose and everything. So as part of large programs in the United Nations Development Program across the country, in Uttarakhand we have developed, where in the Himalayan region and other places, roof water is collected, filtered and stored and used for drinking. We have trained skill development programs so that impart training to those people and they will build on their own. These are the happiest moments when these people have found water just beside their house and throughout the year they're using for drinking. Rainwater harvesting is not complete only with the buildings, like the tree-based basics can also be part of the pavements like footpaths and others also where percolation can be. And it can be as simple as that collecting a dhoti or a sari on your rooftop. And this is the purest form of water what you can get. Let us come to see that how practically we can do. We have developed an app. This is an app in collaboration with the United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. So I spearheaded this program in collaboration with the Indian Institute of Science Supercomputer Division and NMIT. We have developed an app. Today I'm going to demonstrate this app, how it works. Basically, this app's stores large amount of data, which is basically the rainfall data, daily rainfall data of that particular place. 586 towns and cities across the country, from the northeastern states to Kanyakumari, western places, and north also, all we have collected from the IMD. That data is so stored in the supercomputer division of our ISC. That plus the software which works at the background will give you all the necessary inputs at a click of a button, and then you get this one. This is the app RWH Advisor we have. Basically, we need to enter only few things, very little. Anybody can enter. Your name is optional. For example, Chinnaswamy is from India in Tamil Nadu. And the district, if you know the taluk, you can also type the taluk. If you enter this, automatically this entire thing shift to that particular place. For example, here, E-Road, what are the last 50 years daily rainfall data, it analyzes, takes the synthesis of that, and what are the soil characteristics, how the water is used, and the building type. Here you can click either the existing build or the building or the proposed building. You can go to the type of roof, whether it's a flat roof or inclined roof. Then if you go to the next one, it will ask you some small details about your house or a catchment place. This app is built for small buildings, basically all residential buildings and small apartments and institutional buildings. For example, this particular person in E-Road, Chinnaswamy, say he has around 200 square meters of roof area. Here, this you can toggle here, you click of this button, you can change the square feet also. You can enter, either you can slide this bar or you can enter the numbers here so that your roof area comes here, approximate roof area, what you can collect water from. Then it will ask you whether you have place to build your sump or rainwater harvesting recharge structures. You can say that approximately whatever the open space that you have. Later you move on to number of floors what you have. This takes into calculation for the costing and what kind of materials are required for rainwater harvesting in your building. So the number of floors, as they increase, the length of pipes increases. As the roof area increases, the size of the pipe plus the filtration system also increases. This is how this app is being built. All these things work at the background. Only these three numbers we need to add. Then you say how many people are there. This is to tell you what kind of water usage you have. Either you can enter the total quantity of water what you use per day so that the rainwater can offset that, or number of people. If you enter here, it will take the WHO standard of 135 liter per capita per day, and then the entire calculation rewards and starts working on that. This E-Road, when we click on the button with these details, will give you this data. These are the results. This will show you the rainwater potential in that particular place where we clicked is 133,000 liters in the roof area of 200 square meters. And suggested most optimum tank size is 10,000 liters. With, suppose if you build 10,000 liter tank, you can in a year collect with the efficiency factor of around 85%, close to 60,000 liters of water. 111 days, it can say that you don't need any other water, and rainwater alone you can sustain. 30% if your annual requirement is met from rainwater by having 10,000 liters sump is. 8 days in a year your sump will overflow. This will also show you when it overflows. It predicts basically how it has behaved in the last 50 years rainfall in that E-Road or whichever place which you have taken, then works on that. And there are around 40 rainy days in that place. It also shows you. The excess rainwater can be, the overflow can be put into groundwater recharge also you see. The next, it will also show you a graph with January 1st to December 31st. It will show, if you move your cursor on this, it can show you which day, how much it has rained, the rainfall data, the blue lines. And whatever we have this brown color lines, this will show you what is the total quantity of rainwater cumulatively stored after your usage in your tank of whatever the size which has been suggested. This is the graph. You can hover around here and then show you. And it will also, when you move on to the next, it will show you what is the tank size which has been suggested. In this tank size, how many options of this construction what you have. So some questions are coming up. Sorry, I think we'll reserve the questions to the end. How do I?
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
have.
Okay. Okay. I think the chart we can mute that so that we continue the presentation. We'll take the questions later. Thank you. Now you see this tank, it will give you several options because the open space around your building may not be same in all sites. So depending on the open space, you can choose the length, width and the depth of the tank. You can see A, B and C. This is the internal dimension of the tank which is suggested. There are many options we can choose. The best option is, for example, it's a cube. The length, width and the depth, if they are equal, that is the best size and most economical size of the tank. But you can choose others also. Once you have chosen the size of the tank, here also again you have toggle. At various places I have this toggle button where either from meters to feet or feet to meters you can switch depending on what you require. Okay. Yeah. Now if the tank size suggested is 5,000 or less than 5,000, it suggests you should not build. It's not required. You can go in for HDPE tank, which are more cheaper. Like 5 to 6 rupees per liter, you get a tank. Otherwise, if you go for a brick masons, which is between 5,000 to 25,000 liter, only brick construction, burned brick, chamber brick construction can sustain or you can do, and that's the up to 25,000. Beyond 25,000 liter, you need to go for RCC tanks. This is what the app suggests. Afterwards, it will also give you the cost. This cost is basically what we have done is, we have run through several costings across the country in various places. Some of these things are very standard and pipes and filters and other things are not very, but labor little varies. So depending on that, the app chooses the data from its background and starts working. Now, the number of downtake pipes are 4 in this particular building for that area. 110 millimeter is what is suggested. If they use bigger or smaller, I think this will be the right one as per the Indian building codes. And the number of filters required, I have taken the pop-up filter which I have developed. There are many other brands which they can use depending on the manufacturer's guideline, what size of roof it can handle and how much water can flow through that. You can figure into that and factor that. Here I have taken the pop-up filter design which you have developed. And the tank cost, it will give you how much it costs. The brick masonry tank, approximately around 9 rupees per liter, around 90,000 rupees. Then the piping cost for the number of floors what we have chosen, the total pipes, and the filters we need to, and the labor cost, approximately around 1,25,000 rupees you require for this. The next you have many options. One is, suppose if you go back, in our earlier slide I showed you the option now, storing and reuse. You can see this button in our app. If you choose store and reuse all what I said earlier, this navigation will come and you can choose. Suppose if you click on recharge, suppose you don't want to use the rainwater directly, you can go to recharge groundwater. This option will come. And once this option comes, how to recharge it, depending on the place of that particular soil structure and various other parameters, porosity and so many factors it takes, and then it says. And there is an also important note we have given: do not attempt groundwater recharge at these 3 places where the groundwater level is already 5 meters and above. There is no point in recharging. Groundwater level is already high, naturally. Hard rock strata where the water cannot percolate. Selected region in low-lying areas of flooding areas. No, don't do rainwater harvesting or groundwater recharge in these 3 areas. Suppose if it is conclusive to do rainwater harvesting for groundwater recharge, you can use structures like this. This particular E-road what we chose, this is the structure what we have suggested. Basically a open well using precast cement rings, nothing filled inside, only in the annular place, whatever the gap is there, fill the aggregates and then start. Then the potential is 3,76,000 liters in the orientation, how much it can go into. And even the costing also we have worked out here, depending on the digging cost, labor, the pipe fittings and other costs, the cement rings, how much it costs, the filtration system, labor and all that. This is the cost which you can get. Here again, we have 2 options, depending on the hardness of the soil. Either you can go for 3 numbers of the pit or 2 numbers or 1 number, depending on that, it will suggest. Yeah, we have this again. This is the graph which shows how much water can go into that. Then we have several buttons to show what we can do with this app. There are these buttons at the bottom. suppliers. You click on this supplier for that particular place. There are some enlisted, either the sellers of these tanks, pipes, and rainwater filters and various other things which are available. And if you go to the next one, if you click the button, you can see that the government agencies involved in doing that rainwater harvesting in those areas, their phone numbers and other things. If you scroll down, there are many entries in that. And also we have enlisted plumbing contractors or trained people who are available in that area. Here in that, I've taken this as the Bangalore. I myself have conducted more than, I think, 200 and odd training programs for these architects, engineers, and all that. And totally, we have conducted 800 of them. Around 2,000 of them are available in 290 pages we have here. If you type the area of the place, you can get the plumber list. You can choose any of them. You can choose, ask them with a mobile number, email address, and other things are also available. So this app is available for you. This is readily available in the net. And there were some issues regarding the hosting of that. Maybe it will be shortly it will be resolved. It's called RWH Advisor. Now we can go live on this and then share the this one. Yeah, I will show the live video.
Before we go live, Mr. Shivkumar, we have been receiving questions on the app in terms of where it is launched, how it is launched. I'm not finding in the Google Play Store and all that.
Yeah. I told you this is as of today. There are some issues of the hosting. It will take maybe another few days time to do that. Let me complete my presentation, Sripati.
Yeah.
So that there are some questions which they are asked are already answered in my future slides. Because I'm going live now. This is live now. For example, this you can go into this app. I'm live now. So here, okay, I'll take example of Sripati. So India, then the select the state. This is select the state. We can. I will take Sripati from and little selfish. I'll take him from Karnataka. Okay, Bangalore urban, Taluk Bangalore south. This is what we need to select. And then say Sripati's house is existing house and he has a flat roof, and then you navigate next. Yeah, this will come. And here again, depending on the roof area, how much either you can enter here, or you can bring this tab to the slider to any place. Yeah, for example, this you can come to under here, say to enter. And here also you can play around with the numbers. What is the exact roof area of your place? Say, for example, you have around 200 square meter, or you can click here and go to square feet also. There is a toggle. And here also you can say there is some place available, say 30 square meters. This is some numbers I am giving you. You can take number of floors. You can say that how many floors you have a building, and the number of residents. Sripati is a small family. Say 3 people. They use around 405 liters per day. You can change the number also. If you go here, user calculation, you can enter your number, either 500 or 300, so that the entire software takes that number. Now here you have 2 options. One is store and reuse or recharge. First go to the store and reuse. Then you just click. This is all what you need to do. Only your roof area, your place, and how many people are there, and what is the number of floors you have. If you give this, the entire thing, the software at the background will come, and immediately, instantly, all the results will come. Yes, this is here, Sripati, Karnataka state, Bangalore urban, Bangalore South Taluk. So your house is located here, the existing building, RCC, then the catchment area, what is the place available, and the 405 liter per day you are using one. Bangalore South receives 881 millimeters. This is the last 50 years thing called inches. This is what the background data which is taken. This is the site selected. Yes, we go into the suggestions. What the software has suggested is recommendations. Sir. You need to build a 12,000 liters sump or a tank. 12,000 liter tank will be most optimum. You can build bigger one also. I will come to that later. You have the potential of 1,58,580 liters on your roof. With this 12,000 liter, you can harvest close to around 99,000 or 1 lakh liters of water, 98,820 liters with an efficiency factor of 85%. Then the rooftop rainwater is available 244 days in a year. You don't need any other water by just 12,000 liters, and in Bangalore South and with the rainfall water. 67% of your annual requirement is met out of rainwater. Your sump is likely to overflow for 8 days in a year. I will show you which day also because it predicts based on the historic data. In Bangalore, in this particular site where we have chosen is around 75 working this rainy days which we get. The excess rainwater can be pushed into groundwater recharge also, it suggests. Then this is an interesting graph what we have done. This has from January to December 31st, January 1st to this one. This side we have the tank size or the total quantity of water which is stored in your tank. And this side it is the graph shows how many millimeters of rainfall which has happened on that. For example, you hover around your mouse at any place. For example, I come here. This is 23rd August. Water available in the tank is around 2,587 liters. Rainfall on that day is 5.5 millimeters. So you choose any date, it will give you. This is, you see, tank is overflowing here. 11,990 liters of water, 8.9 millimeters of rainfall. Previous day it has rained, that's why you see 8th November it has rained 50 millimeters, 50.9 millimeters, and the water available is 12,000 liters. The tank is overflowing on this day. Like this, you can see that historic data taking, and more or less it has worked. In the last 10 years, we have tested this software, and in most of the places, the behavior is same, unless there is a skewed results of your rainwater harvesting, the rainfall data. Next, if you choose, it will show you the size of the tank. Here again, you have the feet or the meters. This is 12,000 liters, length, width, and depth. These are the numbers from the inside of the tank, internal dimension of the tank. What is the width, what is the breadth, and what is the depth we have. And most optimum would be something like this, what all are shown in this red mark, or you can choose any other depending on the open space available. You can choose instantly, it will change to feet if you change. You see here, instead of meters, it will show you what is the feet. See around 13, 5, and 6.5 feet. This is the dimension of the tank. It will suggest, as I told you earlier, if your tank size is say 12,000 liters, you need to go in for only masonry structure. That will be the most suitable for you. ATP tanks are not suitable more than 5,000 liters. Only in special cases you may use. Otherwise, brick masonry is okay. 25,000 level, you have to go for RCC. Then, next, if you choose, it will show you various other factors. You can come back also, like for example, it will show the cost. Here, the cost is based on that particular place, availability of material, how much it costs, and the labor. Certain survey we have done based on that. Some numbers we have plugged in, and then it takes up the numbers which are already prepared. The number of downwater pipe sizes, the number of filters required, the tank cost is so much, the piping cost is so much, the filtration cost, filters number 2, the labor cost which you have taken, 1,38,000. This includes the tank cost also. If you have already a tank which is available, maybe 10 or 12,000 liters, the cost of the tank, which is the bulk of the cost, will go up, and you will have just approximately around 30,000 rupees cost for this. Yes, this is how you can go for groundwater recharge. You won't store. I will come to that later, but I can show you live how this can also happen with various other factors. One is supplies. For example, if you click on the suppliers, this is for Bangalore. It is we are digging out data of Bangalore. Yeah, Karnataka. This is in alphabetical order of the suppliers. Their name, address, the contact numbers, email, and other things are available. For the pipes, filters, tanks and water materials are required for your. So this is a very long list. You can scroll down, and then in different pages, different areas are also available. We can go to government agencies which are supporting rainwater harvesting. There are various government agencies. All this, if you click, you can know in which place, location for Bangalore and other places, Belgaum, who is the person, what is the department name, and what is their address, what are the numbers, mobile numbers are also given. This is the facility available to see either what is the policy of rainwater harvesting in that place, and what incentives they are providing for doing rainwater harvesting. Are there any already trained group which will come and assist you from the government or any other agencies? That's what this particular thing gives you. Then you can go to trained plumbers here. This is loading from the Bangalore data. Bangalore data has 290 pages of this. You just type an area of place where you are located. For example, my house is in, say, Vijayanagar. This is Sripati, sorry. Yeah, Vijayanagar, you see already there are so many people who are available who have been trained, professionally trained, and they know how to do rainwater harvesting. They are plumbing contractors, architects, engineers who have taken up rainwater harvesting as a profession. Their mobile numbers are available. You can go to various other pages. So there were several people which are available there. This apps take this, and then in certain places, in many other states, these data may be missing in the app because we have tried our best to get it from the government agencies or other agencies who are involved in doing rainwater harvesting. They have not provided the data, so they may be empty in those areas. And we have also provided one more option. For example, yeah, so we have to go back to see that what options we have to recharge also, I think, for groundwater recharge, modify the input data. Here instead of plain roof. Yes. Come here, you see, I showed you these two options. One is store and reuse. Can you go in for the groundwater recharge? Yes. Then the results. Yeah, these are totally different results now what we get. The primary data remains same, but it will show you the option of what you need to do about groundwater recharge and where you should not do. All these options will come. Assumptions and other things are also here. You can click on that and see what is the porosity and various other things which are available. These are the drawings which are available. See that you can see how the number, option number 1, what is the number of pits, diameter, depth, how much it costs. Option 2, you have the same, but only one pit because the depth is higher. This is 6 meters, that's right. And here the dimension, how to build all these are available. So these are some of the options. Here again, the costings will come. In the similar fashion, the costing is also worked out for groundwater recharge here. Yes. Yeah, let's go back. And then there is something else also I want to show you. Yeah, and the basic parameters remain same. Next. Yeah.
So, Mr. Shivkumar, we have roughly around 12 more minutes left.
Okay.
I have some questions.
I am almost done. I am almost done. So I will end the session now by showing the option, one more option. You can modify the input data if you want to play around and go for storage results. Yeah, and yes. Here to suppose if your cost is higher, you feel that you can't afford a 12,000 liter or the total sum capacity, you click here and go for optimizing your tank. You can play around with that and then change it, right? Yeah. So that's how it changes also, right? Okay. Yeah, this is the app which we have developed, and I think I can go to the presentation mode. Yes. And
so many questions have come up in terms of what is the link to this app right now, and we have, for your information, Mr. Shivkumar and all other participants, we have clocked around 520 when the session has been happening as the number of participants.
okay.
Thank you, Mr. Shivkumar, for the excellent views on how rainwater harvesting should be done in several platforms, in several conditions and circumstances. And
can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
The last screen. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, right.
So
okay, now it's open for questions.
Yeah, many of them have been asking for the app live right now. Would you suggest something on that app directly so that people go and log on?
You just 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 come to my as of today it is not available because there are some issues about renewing of the web host. So in my blog it will be available, rainmanspeaks.blogspot.com. It will be something like this: rwh-advisor.info, rwh-advisor.info.
Thank you, Mr. Shiv Kumar. Few questions which I noted down. There are around 100 questions that have propped up in both the chat box as well as the Q&A box.
Okay. Okay.
Few relevant questions that I would request you to answer. Somebody is
ahead.
asking, in the Ganga Yamuna River basin, should we put the rainwater collection in tanks or use it for recharge? This was one.
Yeah, whether it is Ganga Basin or Chennai or Northeast, my first answer for rainwater harvesting is please store it and use. There is no other water which is equivalent to rainwater. You cannot compare any water, whether from tank or anything. So your first option should be store and use it for drinking, cooking, and all other parameters or whatever requirement. Then you go for recharge. Recharge is very, very site specific. Depends on Ganga Basin is from Himalaya to the West Bengal. It's very difficult to answer such questions whether we can recharge there. But always my option is to store and reuse.
So somebody asked, do we need to know the depth of the water table before recharging?
That's right. I showed you in my on this one. If it is less than 5 meters, you should not recharge because the water table will be high. It cannot take water flood your face or hard rock where the water cannot cover.
How much rooftop we should aim? Rooftop water we should aim for when we have the roof, rainwater ecological functions that are existing. What is the maximum target?
Sripati, you have no choice to choose because your roof is available, whatever the building.
Okay.
Try to see that the entire roof is used practically if it is possible, so that you can even smaller range, it will not yield much. So your tank is collecting. The catchment area decides how much you can collect on that day's rain. So try to maximize the catchment by using the entire roof unless practically it is not possible. For example, some people have built the wall which is adjacent to the others and we can't cross the pipe to the other side. Then you forget it, whatever is available on that particular site and physically which is possible to connect the downwater pipes, you can change.
So RWH near lakes, somebody asked this question from Bangalore. Yeah. RWH near lakes, do we have any guidelines or recommendations from the government?
Yeah, we have very good guidelines. If you are very close to a lake, you don't need to worry too much about surface recharge. Unless you have a deeper borewell and if it is not yielding direct injection of rainwater to the borewell, though it is banned. So because I was one of the person who wrote the policy for the entire Bangalore for rainwater harvesting, direct injection of rainwater from the roof or any other catchment to the aquifers is banned. But still, if it is a dry borewell, if it is a confined aquifer, you can use it as a storage. Millions of liters can be stored there. But near the lake, store and reuse is a better option because lake would have already recharged your subsurface, the shallow.
So, yeah, sloping. There is a sloping roof made of tin.
Yeah.
It has a lot of groove. Can we do rainwater harvesting?
Yeah, perfectly. I showed you the slide of the Himalayan region.
Yeah.
There they have only corrugated sheets and that is perfectly made for rainwater harvesting. Absolutely no problem.
Somebody asked, what is the method for slum areas for rooftop rainwater harvesting?
Yeah, slum areas, my suggestion is please don't go for individual home. A collective or a community approach is better because those houses or the huts are packed one close to the other. Second one is each roof is slightly different from what they are. So you have to carefully choose which roof is clean and bund them together and channelize all this water into a common source of storage. After thorough filtration, you can give the community approach is the best in slum area.
Somebody asked on how do we distinguish acid rain and rainwater?
There is no acid rain, don't worry, unless you are very close to the refinery or a chemical industry or canneries. Otherwise, don't worry. Rainwater is slightly acidic. It's a universal phenomenon. But once you store it for a day or two, it will become almost normal. I've been using, I don't have a city supply in my house. You may be knowing about my house. It's called Eco-Friendly Home of Bangalore. Across the globe, it's known. For last 25 years, I don't have a tap or a pipe connection to my house, and we are surviving on rainwater for all our needs, including drinking. So, drinking rainwater, using it for cooking and even for bathing, nothing will happen. Your health is good, your skin is good, and safely you can use this water.
You have been very popular in Facebook and other social media on this aspect, especially Shiv Kumar.
Thank you, thank you.
You can make the
Support
zero
like-
water, as a consumer. You don't depend on any other sources, but
Yeah, not a drop. I have excess water in my house.
in fact,
Every year.
somebody asked from Bihar how to teach in practical and theory for students on rainwater harvesting.
I think ICCW is a good platform. We can devise some very good the web-based material, and then in different languages we can post. My book Amritavarshini, which you are kind enough to share with others, the link at things. Of course, the link is disabled because you are not given the credit lines. Now I can allow you to use that. Those things can be shared among people. There's enough simple material available for people to use, or you can create some very good material and provide them with the idiot pictures, what they call. We don't need to read, but by seeing that, those things can be done. We can do that.
Among several questions, there was one more question I would like to take up and then hand it over to Professor Pradeep for his questions. Some question on without physical removal, how do we do a backwash of filter media?
We don't need, maybe he's talking about the sandbed filter,
Yes.
because there are several kinds of filter. The filter which I have developed, you don't have a filter media to be removed, cleaned and all that. Both for smaller and very large structures. I have this filter. It's working very well in all the hostels of Anna University. You can go see it for yourself. There the filter media is only pebbles. You don't need to wash it. And all the bird droppings and whatever organic materials, the earthworms and other organic, the microbes will take away. And you don't need to even clean. They are not even touched those filters for years. And they are using it for the hostel cooking and all that. That's the first class lock and developer. Only thing is you have to buy this gas filled high pressure valve, that is first class lock, which I have developed. And it's also not very expensive. It's under 10,000 per any size. You can use
I
that.
request you to stop sharing the screen so that Professor Pradeep is able to come up onto the screen. Thank you, Kumar, for the excellent insights and presentation. And right now we have 457 participants with us in this seminar, in this webinar series. And over to you, Professor Pradeep.
Well, it was a fantastic session, Mr. Shivakumar. Your passion for rainwater harvesting came out so clearly, and so it was so engrossing just to see that. Now, my question. Well, of course, let me ask a few questions on behalf of everyone around here. We are all so passionate about rainwater harvesting. Are there any risks involved? If we don't do it well, are there risks? Should we be careful about? Or anybody can do rainwater harvesting? What would be your take?
Policy risk is zero. Nobody can stop you from doing rainwater harvesting in your premises, and you have the right to do it. And in the first place, there is no GST for rainwater. Anybody can go across the country wherever you are. And it's freely available. Like your salary, it comes judiciously every season and then provides you rainwater. Practically, there are some problems. Unless your catchment is known to you and what happens on your catchment, you should not use. For example, there are some apartments where there are some ACs or sewage treatment plants which are installed on the roof, and there are a lot of leakages which are happening. And if you start harvesting that water and putting it into your tank and trying to analyze what is this water, what you need to, how do we use this, it will be very difficult. It's a dangerous thing to do. So you should know what is the catchment. You should have good control on that. You should have a very good discipline in your apartment or an industry. Then you can do. Secondly, there are external factors like refineries. If you have refinery, there is a lot of sulfur and NOx and SOx which are already there in this one. They come and then I don't know what all you will have in your water, tanneries and everything. The external factors. Third one is your geological condition. For example, your building is built on a very soggy or a refilled soil or something like that, where the foundation may not take too much of water pumping in there, and the subsoil water should not become rich. Then there is a risk to the building and the structures. What you have. So these are some minor things which you need to take. Otherwise, I don't see a big risk for rainwater.
Stored water for a long time, especially in our kind of concrete structures and all that,
Mhm.
see whether there is any problem of algal growth, contamination of any kind.
Professor Pradeep, sorry, because of the time I couldn't show some of the slides. Uh, the water will not get contaminated because water is colorless, tasteless, odorless, shapeless. There is nothing. You know that. But in the presence of sunlight and air together, whatever contaminants which you just spelled out, whether it's algae, bacteria, worms, and other things, will grow because of these two things, including our life or the plants. They need sunlight and air for oxygen. Remove any one of that. For example, just beside you, you have a bottle, transparent water bottle. That if it is sealed bottle supplied by a person or a company, it will stay for 1 year, nothing will happen. You can keep it in your shelf if you don't open that. Though the light enters, there is no oxygen inside because it is filled up till the brim. And whatever the gap, they may be filling that some inert gas like nitrogen or something. So there is no support for life to the oxygen. Whereas our tank should do the reverse. You cannot stop, sorry, you cannot stop the air or oxygen inside your tanks, either underground sump or overhead tanks. We can do the reverse. We can stop the light. If you store water in dark, total dark, pitch dark, you can store water without any contamination for 1 month, 1 year, 10 years, 100 years. You may not be there, but still the water will be clean as the day today, what you have stored. You can take it from me because the groundwater from the borewells, what we are drawing, we can't date it when it was stored there. And maybe thousands of years. Today we withdraw that it is crystal clear without any this. Of course, except the geogenic or the minerals or salts which are dissolved. Otherwise, the contaminants what we are referring to rainwater, none of them. So the first rule of thumb is see that your tank, whether it's underground sump or the overhead tank, when there is no water, if you get into that and close the lid, it should be pitch dark as you have closed your eyes, not a single ray of light. The weakest point is the overflow pipe. Instead of providing it straight, you provide with a bend and maybe 2 feet of extra pipe. Light cannot travel in zigzag path, but air can travel, water also can travel. Second weakest point, your lid on the top. Basically, most of the people, they put a kadapa slab or a concrete slab. There is a lot of gap, the light enters. You have the cast iron chamber covers available, U-lip available all along the ring. They are called airtight chamber covers. Use them as the lid and the overflow pipe properly. You can store water for any length day. There is nothing like old water or new water. You only told that water what we are using the same molecules for millions of years. This is small fundamental what we have learned in the primary or the middle school we need to follow for our daily life. And not only for rainwater, this follows for any kind of water, tanker, borewell, city supply, same.
You have been so passionate about water, and people would like to know, when did that passion start and how did this passion start? And this passion, if you were to impart to people, how will you impart that passion?
I come from a very remote village. I don't know whether you to tell. I come from a very remote village in Karnataka, Tumkur district, a village called Ammanagatta. Every day morning before I wake up, or when you are very young, my mother used to carry a big rope on her shoulder and two the copper pictures of the pots and go to the far off well and bring it. At that time, when we slightly grew up and started going to middle school, they transferred that to us, and I was doing it with my sister every day. At that time, I was thinking, so good water is available at just 5 feet or 10 feet below the ground, and we used to happily go there drinking it. But when I grew up, sometime during my engineering, I went back to my village and saw that there are no wells. Bore wells are also dry. The pace has already passed out, and people are waiting for the tankers and somebody else to supply. And in Bangalore, when I moved on to a house where, not my own house, there, in fact, water was not available in that area, the piped water, the bore well has dried up. You should have seen the plight. Then I decided, if I build a house, I will see that every drop of water which is falls in the roof and in my open space is not spared to anyone, but I use it. Excess water I give to the society as groundwater recharge. I am doing that from last 25 years. I am living on rainwater without a connection in Bangalore from the last 20 years.
So we can remove the tap connections from every home. It's probably one of the ways by which we can enforce rainwater harvesting.
Professor Pradeep, no, I will not recommend that. we should not be too idealistic, because this calls for a very large storage. In my house, we have 45,000 liters storage. It's scientifically calculated. 100 days of dry days between two successive rains in Bangalore, last 100 years rainfall data I have. To fulfill that, 400 liter per family per day in my house. 100 days into 400 is 40,000 liters. I have 5,000 liters, like guest like you, if you come, you will use it. So in my house, 45,000 liters storage I have. It's quite large. The cost will also be high. Secondly, not everyone will like to use rainwater for all the purposes. Many people still, they have some stigma that we should not drink it and all that. And difficult to convince them. So what we can do is, they have some system. They are living already. You augment that supply and ration the already scarce city supply through dams or rivers in such a fashion at a very low cost for the basic needs. And if you are using much beyond 10,000 liter per family per month or 15,000 liter, you charge it very high. Then you can equitably distribute the river water, the dam water to every family without any problem, whether it's Chennai, Bangalore or Delhi. Each one will start going in for rainwater harvesting, and without any compulsion they will.
Obviously, that needs
Pricing policy.
Pricing policy and equitable distribution,
That's correct.
ensuring that everyone is having adequate quantity of water. And that calls for a very big debate. But one thing that is very clear from your presentation is that do this for just a few years, India will be water secure.
Definitely. I am positive about that, and everyone can do it. It's a doable thing. It's not that we need outside support, or which is not possible. Everybody can.
That's all that I should be probably asking. We don't have much time left. And over to you, Mr. Sripati.
Thank you, Professor, and thank you, Mr. Shivkumar, for the several insights. I would again, request you to come back into the next sessions also tomorrow, day after, and on until 5th of June. Right? We have the pleasure of having Mr. Shekhar Raghavan also on this panel. He's been listening to us, and probably tomorrow there will be one session from Dr. Rajendra Singh, who's been our water conservationist. And I request all participants to log on tomorrow also at the same time and make this kind of a session much more interactive as much as possible. With this remarks, I would hand it over to Ramya, who can take us forward and give us the next session's update. Thank you, Ramya.
Yeah, thank you, Sripati. I'm Ramya.
Thank you all.
Hi. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Thank you for hand-holding us in this process and inspiring all of us to do it. I'm sure all the participants who are here with us will take it up and give us a feedback on it.
My pleasure to share my experience with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. And I'm here to brief you on our speaker for tomorrow, Sri Rajendra Singh, also popularly known as the Waterman of India. He's a Stockholm Water Prize awardee, The prize is also known as Nobel Prize for Water. He received it in 2015, Magsaysay Award winner in 2001. Shri Rajendra Singh is also a fighter for water causes. So another passionate speaker we'll have tomorrow, just like the one we had today. And he has helped in rural areas to revive rivers naturally and sustainably. And he has pioneered in community-based efforts for water harvesting and water management. So let's get to know more from him tomorrow. We look forward to your company when we listen to Shri Rajendra Singh. And I hope you will also partner with ICCW to spread the word about this webinar and the message and knowledge that we are striving to share on this platform. So if anyone has missed, or you can share it on our YouTube channel, all the interesting question and answers and the talk and everything is available for people. So just let's do it and make India self-reliant. See you tomorrow. Thank you all.